And we're live. Welcome to another installment of Arrows Up. No, Decoding the Bible. Presented by Arrows Up. Sorry. I always mix those two. I'll get it right eventually. But it's Decoding the Bible by the guys from Arrows Up. This week we have Angel joining us. Welcome, Angel.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
Very well.
And David, of course, the usual suspect, and myself, German. And today we're doing Hebrews 8. We're doing it a little differently. We're going to start today with our new format, and hopefully this works better. We're trying to improve, so we're doing
different formats.
Yeah, different formats. We're messing around with it. We haven't reached the point where we feel we got it locked down yet, and maybe hopefully we never do, because that means we're getting better and we're always finding new ways. But for now, this is how we're going to do it. We're not going to read like we usually do. We're going to present the chapter. We're going to give a brief summary, and then we have come up with points that we feel impacted us and God spoke to us through them, and that's what we're going to talk about. And at the end, we're going to do like a little freelance thing. And so one of the things we're going to hit, which I just decided, is the controversial game yesterday between Mexico and Panama, which I feel we should. And then we'll hit a news story, which we'll decide later as we get there. So we'll come up with a new story to
Keep in mind, this is July 23rd,
Yes, July 23rd,
2015.
2015. So let's begin. So Hebrews 8 was a chapter which is connected to Hebrews 7. Hebrews 7 talked about the priesthood of Melchizedek and how he was a form of God, of Christ, of Jesus. And this kind of continues, and the author of Hebrews continues on in Hebrews 8 talking about how Jesus is the high priest, which is the first thing he says, actually. He says, now the main point of the things we are saying, we have such a high priest. So he's like, hey, so the main point of all this is Jesus Christ is the high priest. He's our priest. That's what we have. So that's what he talks about for the entire chapter. And then he talks about the two covenants, the old covenant with Moses, the new covenant with Jesus. And that's basically chapter 8, Hebrews 8 in a nutshell. Right? You guys have anything to add to that? I think that's the overall encompassing message we're getting from it. Right? Yes?
Yes.
I think Angel's scared to talk because he doesn't want to hear his own voice.
You've done it like two times, so.
So, let's see. Let's see what we have here. So, first points. I'll start. You
Yeah.
start.
Because mine's towards the end.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so I'll start. So my first point was in verses 1 and 2, where it talks about Jesus being the high priest. And so I have 3 questions for you guys. What is a priest?
A priest is a person
Yes.
who obviously a person, but a priest is a person who leads people to God, who's in charge of the people, and obviously when we see in Exodus, it's a person who intercedes for the people and for himself, of course. And as we continue on, as Israel starts to become a nation in Samuel, we see that the high priest is the person, the mediator between God and his people.
Yeah.
You know, the Israelites. And the kings were supposed to talk to the high priest to see what God wanted you know, them to do. So yeah, and another one is the priests were in charge of the tabernacle. Obviously, they were in charge of the duties that were supposed to be in there, cleaning the temple and whatnot. But
Right.
in charge of the 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 music, worship, and well, not worship, but music, and they were to be part of the tribe of Levi.
Okay. So that is a priest. You have anything to add to that, Angel? What is a priest?
No, I'm good.
All right.
I'll get used to this.
What attributes should a priest have?
Attributes.
Yeah.
Attributes. Well, that's
Why?
well. One of them is should be the tribe of Levi. I think we get, and that's probably the only one I know. You got anything, Angel?
Is there actual attributes or?
No, just
Or just-
I mean, it doesn't have to be
What do we
specific.
think?
Yeah. What you think? What in
Uh,
your opinion? You think?
I think main woman should be set apart.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Should be main.
So set aside for God. Okay. Anything else?
Should be a male, right?
Oh,
Okay.
Oh,
Nice.
We're getting somewhere.
Why male?
Trying to be feminist. Cause that's the order God established. The man should be the head of the house, pretty much the head of the church.
Okay.
So that's why I think the male should, because of the order of God.
So I guess this is going off tangent, which is fine. What do you guys think of women churches? Women, no.
Being pastors of churches?
Yeah, there you go. Senior pastors, not just. No? Not okay with it?
Nah, I'm not. I'm not okay with it.
Sorry, Joyce Mayer.
It's gonna go there. So, no, I don't think that a woman should be a senior pastor. You know, but yeah. I mean, Timothy. I think it's Timothy tells us, you know, don't let women teach. You know, so, and then we also find that in Thessalonians, I think, that, you know, Paul tells Timothy, don't let the women teach, you know, as, I forget that verse, but yeah, in Timothy it says, don't
Yeah,
let the
and then
women
I think
teach.
Peter says in First Peter too,
I think it's
Right.
First Peter.
where he says women teach other women how to be submissive or whatever.
I mean, I don't think we're like disqualifying the women from teaching whatsoever. I mean,
No, of course
just,
not.
Right.
I mean, yeah, women are to teach, you know, the children, the younger ladies, you know,
Yeah.
the younger kids, but to be a senior pastor, I don't think so. I mean,
I always think of, whenever it comes down to that, I always think of the husband. Like, seriously, like, what kind of, and I guess not to bring down any men, but like, what kind of relationship is that? Which I guess if you're a guy that wants to be controlled, I guess that works. But and then when you, and I guess churches like that, when you notice it, don't teach word for word. They're teaching theme teaching, because imagine you're going word for word and you're gonna get to that verse in Timothy. It's gonna get really awkward in that congregation. So I agree with you guys. I don't think there
have
should
you been to any of those churches?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've
I have.
I recently went a couple weeks back,
Yeah.
probably a month or so. I went to visit a friend at her church, and yeah, it was crazy. The lady is a senior pastor, you know, and I had an argument with my friend. And I told her, well, why is she the pastor?
Yeah.
Oh, because the husband doesn't, you know. She said, if you would listen to her testimony, you would understand why. I was like, it doesn't matter about her testimony. She's like, oh well, she's much spiritually. She's much
Ooh.
more spiritually than the husband.
That's
I was,
horrible.
I was like, then in that case, they shouldn't even be pastors, you know. And then, so it got to this argument where she stopped talking to me for a couple of days. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it can get weird. It's all this can get weird. So getting back, why are there priests now? Why do we still have priests? This is all based on verse 1 and 2. Jesus is our high priest. New covenant. Why do we still have priests?
Because people like being told what to do.
Okay. Explain.
And I say that because we look to a higher person, you know, as Angel's mentioning that they're supposed to be holy, you know, set apart, you know, and that tells us that they're holy people,
Right.
you know. So in order for us to feel closer to God, and we decide to follow, you know, as humans, somebody that's, you know, close to God. So therefore we still have these high priests, therefore we still follow these high priests, and because men like religion, being told what to do. So.
Yeah.
Well, I think as humans, we always look for something to idolize. Like, it's hard. I guess it's hard for some people
Yeah.
just to be spiritual, and they just want a figure there to, well, idolize pretty much and just talk to. And I think that's why we have a lot of priests, and that's mostly in the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah, I just to add to that, people love religion. You know, people love religion because religion makes people feel safe. Religion makes people feel as if though they have achieved something. And ultimately, as humans, that's what we love to feel. Right? We love to do stuff knowing we're going to achieve something. And I think Angel would be perfect for this because he works in the construction, not construction, but you know, that kind of work
Yeah.
where you show up to a place and he puts epoxy flooring, and you show up to this place, and what happens is you see this place and you see what it is, but as somebody who works in the construction field, your job is to see how it's supposed to look. You don't see it for what it is now. Like, where if I show up to a place, like if I were to show up here and it just say this place was a complete dump, I would see it, wow, this place sucks. Where somebody with the eyes like Angel will come like, oh wow, there's potential here. This can be done. And so somebody with that mind looks at it differently, and I think, and that's how we like to feel. We like to think, man, if I show up to church, or if I talk to this guy who's more spiritual than I, then I will get somewhere. And then God will like me, and then God will do this, and then God. But the reality of life is, Jesus says, "Hey, come to me." And what makes it hard is, for people, when Jesus says, "Come as you are," now there's a responsibility. Because as great as the veil ripping when Jesus died, and the veil ripping from top to bottom, as great as that was, the problem with that and why people get scared from that is because there's now a responsibility. The responsibility is now, okay, I can't go to a guy, I have to go directly to God. And so now it becomes, what am I going to do with it now? And it's really with everything, anything else when you think about it. You can have a job, and you can for example, you can apply to a job, and you can apply to a job, and you can apply to a job, But as soon as a job calls you, it says, "Hey, we're interested in you." The responsibility is now in your boat. Hey, we're interested. Come for an interview tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow night. Now you're responsible for showing up. But up until then, it's it's whoever calls, and then you freak out. But you're not freaking out when you're applying to places. You freak out once you get the job or once you get the interview, because now it's on you. And that's the same thing with God. We love religion because it's not our responsibility; it's God's responsibility. Because it's, I'm gonna do this, and God would do this, and God would do this, and God would do this. But with Christianity and with Christ is, I did this. Your turn. Are you gonna follow me? Are you gonna live for me? Are you gonna obey me? And everything, and like what Paul says, our good deeds are like dirty rags. What do you're a good teacher? Well, guess what? That means nothing. I died for you on the cross. Are you gonna believe in me or not? Oh, you gone to how many mission trips? Oh, that's beautiful, but do you believe in me? And it's ultimately, it comes down to people love religion, and that's why we have priests. Adding to what you guys said. So that's the first point. So that's the first point of Hebrews. So one of the things that I was able to get. Verse 2. Second point is, 2 and 3 go together for me. So I'm gonna say 2. We'll discuss it a bit, and then I'm gonna present the third one, and then we'll continue. So the second one is Jesus never offered a priestly sacrifice. Now, that sounds very like, okay, well, all right. But think about it. Jesus is God, right? He's God incarnate. He's walking around here. But Jesus never went to the holies of holies. Jesus never killed the lamb. Never did that. Jesus never acted as the actual priest, earthly priest. Now, why is that important? It's important because if Jesus would have so much as killed one lamb and been like, I'm sacrificing this lamb, his entire ministry would have been tainted. Because all of a sudden, what he's saying is, the old covenant is sufficient. Which you know is not true, but that's what he would have said. That's my second point. My second point is, it's important for us to remember and be thankful that Jesus never sacrificed anything. That he never acted as an earthly priest while he was on earth. And that to me is huge, because he died on the cross, and therefore it makes the cross without flaw. What do you guys think? I know that's a hard thing to just jump in and be like, well, I think. But that's what I got. That was my point. I couldn't make it into a question. But that was my point. It kind of like, it spoke to me loudly. Because I read this like 3-4 times. And so that was just the point that kept like yelling at me. And so I just thought I'd share that. We can continue if you guys have nothing to add.
Continue.
Alright, so we'll continue. Alright, so my third point would be, Jesus can't serve in the earthly ministry.
Can't or
Can't. Or couldn't. Because I guess can't would be like, he's here now. He couldn't have served in the earthly ministry because he had already been appointed as a high priest, according to verse 2. So Jesus was already the high priest, therefore he couldn't have served. And another thing, going back to the attributes of a priest, is you had to have been born a Levite, right, in the tribe of Levi. You had to have been a descendant of Aaron. That's how crazy these dudes were. So even in the New Testament, when it's like they were, what's his name, John the Baptist's parents, they were both descendants of Aaron. And so you had to be a descendant of Aaron in order for you to be a high priest, a priest.
So you're saying both your parents, or just your father.
I think one, but obviously if both of them were, then
You get the upper hand.
boom. Yeah.
Full breed.
So yeah, exactly. So Jesus was born of the tribe of Judah. His mom was really seen as this chick that had a kid out of wedlock, and the dad was a carpenter. Now a carpenter sounds, now a carpenter makes a lot of money, right? Like
Yeah.
they make what, like 6 figures a year, like over 100,000, something like if you're a good one, obviously. Back in those days, a carpenter was not a
Big hit.
no, like, cause it was considered a part-time job. Like if you went around back in those days, oh, I'm a carpenter, people were like, oh wow, this dude's broke. It would be the equivalent of I flip burgers. That's what it was the equivalent to. So his dad was a carpenter, so I'm sure he did something else for work, but he was a carpenter. And so he couldn't have served because he doesn't go to school, and that's why John the Baptist or John the Baptizer, you know, his dude was, he came from both of his parents are from the tribe of Levi. They're connected to Aaron. He could have been a high priest. He was a pastor's kid, just, you know, he was like Chuck Smith's kid. You know, so that's how this dude was just like, bam. And obviously he went his way. But where Jesus was kind of like Ryan Reese. You know, like if Raw Reese wasn't a pastor, he was Ryan Reese. Or he was Raw Reese. Like just this crazy dude who just, nothing would suggest that this dude would be a priest. So that's why. But ultimately, because he was appointed already. And really getting to my actual point. The tabernacle that Moses built was a replica of the tabernacle that's in heaven. And the priestly ministry is a representation or a replica of Jesus' ministry. So that's why there's no need for him to join the replica when he's the actual thing. And now we are a representation of the church or of his bride. We are his body. But when Jesus comes, it's going to be all united and complete. And so that's my third and fourth point. No, second and third point. So, yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. I can make it more clear if it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
No.
What doesn't make sense?
Well, when you mean,
This is good. What doesn't make sense?
Makes sense. What to me?
no, I kind of need some clarification.
Okay.
When you say when they were what was it? A figure of Jesus' ministry? Like, in what sense was it?
Well, in the sense that they were mediators. So, you go to a priest now, you know, like the Roman Catholics, they go to a priest now to confession. And I've never been to confession. I've never even been to a church, a Catholic mass. But just based on what I've seen, based on what I've heard, you go into this booth, you talk to this guy, and you tell him, hey, I've done this, I did this, this, and this, and this. And then he says, all right, we'll say 10 Hail Marys, and your sins are forgiven. Okay? And the representation of that is, he's the guy in the middle. He's the guy kind of negotiating between you and God. And so he's like, hey, I did this. And it's kind of like, all right, well, all right, just say 10 of these and you'll be good. All right, so your sins are forgiven, you're good. And he's the mediator. He's the connection. He's the middleman between the people and God. And so Jesus is the ultimate mediator between man and God. The difference is priest could only get you close. It can only get you like, all right, well, say this and you won't be guilty anymore. But guess what? You have to come again and again and again. Where Jesus says, all right, this is God, and I'm going to bring him all the way down here. And you're man, and I'm going to bring you way over here. And I'm going to die on the cross. And with that, there can be eternal connection there. Where the mediator can just be like, you guys can kind of see each other. But I'm right here. But as soon as you fall off, as soon as you make another mistake, and it's really how people live their lives now. There's a lot of Christians who live their lives and they'll say things like, yeah, well, I'm not really close to God right now, man. Which is a religious statement. I'm not close to God. Like, wow, like, look at you. Like, you could be close to God. Like, how pompous does that sound? Where the reality is, you're never close to God. The only reason why you're close to God is because of Jesus Christ. And it's not that you're not close to God. It's like, I have left God, man. We feel like, oh, God is no longer close to me. No, you're no longer close to God. And what Jesus did, he brought God, and God is always here. And we kind of just come in and out, but God is always there. And so that's what I mean by that. He's a mediator, where the priests were the mediators, but Jesus kind of completed all that. Yeah. Does that make sense out?
Yes. Makes sense.
What
I mean, I didn't do it only for myself, but I'm.
No, it's
just
great.
In,
No.
Just in case somebody out there.
What about, like, does everything else make sense though?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't make sense, you can just ask a question and we'll answer it later. So that's the second and third point.
That was
I give the
fourth.
Fourth?
Wasn't it? No.
Oh yeah, I went into my fourth point actually. I did second, third, and I got into my fourth. So I guess my fourth point explained the first 2 points. So yeah, that's my 4th point. I have one more. Do you want to give yours before I give mine?
Doesn't yours go before mine though?
No, what? This one is from the last one. The last section.
Mine is from the last verse.
Okay, well, whatever.
Wait. Oh, never mind. No, I was gonna see if Angel had anything, but
No, I'm good.
No?
no. But I just remembered that he had no.
Why don't you give yours?
Alright. Well, at the end, towards the end of the chapter, in verse 13, it says, in speaking of a new covenant, he makes the first one obsolete, right? Obsolete or obsolete? Obsolete, which means, you said it earlier, I forgot. Destroyed, right? So what's going on here is that, I was going to say Paul for some reason. The writer here, the author, is saying that the old covenant, is going to be replaced, and it was replaced. And Jesus was the new covenant, and it's saying basically that Jesus replaced the old covenant. So my question now is, why did God just not put Jesus right off the bat as the covenant we have now? Why didn't he make it that the first covenant?
Well, why don't you go first? I feel like I've been talking a lot. No? Free will, ultimately. But I think it's God has a plan, so I think it kind of takes away from the free will of man. If God from the beginning says, here is Jesus Christ dying for your sins. Now think about it. Think of how this sounds to Adam and Eve. You've just been created. You're the only humans on the planet. And your creator says to you, hey, so listen, so I came to die for your sins. That's the first thing Adam and Eve were going to say. What is sin?
What is
What?
Yeah.
What is sin? I've been a day here. What are you talking about? Oh, well, you've been lying. Huh? To who? Think about Adam. To who, God? Like, I've been with the dog. I was hanging out with the lion. Who was I lying to? Oh, well, you were lusting. After what?
To my wife.
You disobeyed your parents. What are parents? Who are my parents? You stole. I'm the only one here. So just, you get all these different things that it's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And sin isn't presented really to the world until Adam and Eve fall. Up until then, they are perfect. Because that's how it was supposed to be. That's how it's gonna be in heaven. Right? So, if Jesus from the get-go would have said, hey, this is the covenant, this is Jesus Christ, what are you talking about? What is sin? And you go down to Ten Commandments, they don't apply to Adam until after the fall. And so that's why you can't just add it.
But wasn't the law introduced after the Exodus? Like once they left Egypt?
Right, but think about how long that is after the beginning. That's thousands of years after. Like you're saying it when according to your question, when should Jesus have been presented?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, when?
I think that
Like after the fall, like as soon as Adam and Eve fell?
no, or after as soon as. Well, I think it's when God presented or Moses presented the Ten Commandments, obviously.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, right there. Like, why didn't God just say, okay, this once and for all, since I seen what happened with them this time, what is it?
So as soon as they leave Egypt, set up this covenant.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Oh. Well, because now you get into this section of, now you get into this place that these Jews, weren't ready for that type of covenant. These dudes wanted to go back to being slaves.
Yeah.
Like, the people you were dealing with were people that Jesus would have came around and they would have been like, what the heck? Like, if the Jews up to that point saw Egypt as a hope. Obviously, some of them did see them as like, oh, they're horrible, they treat us bad. But a lot of them were like, let me go back. Let me go back. Now, imagine the slaves, bringing it here to America, the slaves that we had, the black slaves that used to be slaves. Imagine somebody would have came, taken them out, delivered all of them. And then they would have been like, you know what?
I want to go back.
Yeah, let me go back to my slave master. Or during the Civil War, because that's what they fought over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine while they're fighting, gunshots are all over the place. They're seeing their fellow soldiers dying with them. None of them were thinking, I'll just be a slave, forget this. Forget these. Forget this war. Forget the fact that we have to do this. Let me just be a slave. Let me go back to my master. Let me go back to the fields. Let me go back to getting beat. Let me go back to this horrible life that I used to live. No. Hey, if we have to die for this, guess what? Somebody else is gonna come. You know, somebody else will be the benefit of this. And so if Jesus would have came to those people, God knows the heart, man. And ultimately, really that's the answer. I'm rambling on and on. But the answer really is God knows. And God is in control, and God knows our hearts, and God knows the people. And God knows, because even we read, if you've ever read Exodus, you're like, dude, these people are idiots. Like, what are they thinking?
And that's where I was going to lead to, is like, I mean, as well, if God would have presented Jesus right off the bat, it wouldn't have worked. You know, they would still be acting the same way, you know, and they wouldn't, I guess, appreciate it, and they would just probably even stone them, you know, and kill them, you know. But
just think of the story where Moses sends the 12 spies. Is it Jericho? I think it's Jericho.
Yeah.
12. 10 come back. We can't do it. They're too big for us. Nah, let's just stay here. 2 of them come back. Oh, no, we got them. We got this. Let's do it. Now, you get that kind of... Jesus comes during that time, imagine. The 12 people that were supposed to go are... no. 10 of them are horrible. So I think Jesus came in the right time to an established system. The Jews had already been beaten down.
They were at the bottom.
Right, religion was just enslaving them. And Jesus comes at the right time. So I think even now, I don't know if Jesus coming now would have the same effect. Because Jesus would have been tuned out. In our society of everything is new and the fresh things, and we want this and we want that, and in this type of society, it wouldn't have worked, because we would have overlooked him. He would have just been another voice that gets drowned out. So it comes in the perfect time where the Jews are looking for a redeemer, a savior.
Yeah.
Boom. So, but ultimately, it comes down to God's side.
Yeah, and another thing is, you know, they were given the 10 Commandments. They were given, you know, that you should not have any other gods, and you should not steal, you should not kill, you know, and all these. What do you think was the purpose of the law at this point, when God presented it to Moses, and then Moses to the people?
The purpose of the law.
Well, the purpose of the law is pretty. I mean, for me, I think it's pretty easy. It's just a mirror to show who you are, like how you have failed God, and how. Let's see, how. I don't want to say how difficult it is to seek God, but to show you that it's impossible to seek God from our own will. It's like it's impossible to seek God trying to do it by ourselves. So I think that's what the law is, to show you, like, hey man, like, you try to be as perfect as you can, but you mess up one of these, you mess up the whole law. So I think that's what the purpose of the law is to show you who you are and how much we need God.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think the law was supposed to be a mirror, and the 10 Commandments was given Remember, during the time there was no structure of anything, because even Abraham and all these dudes, there was no structure. There wasn't no church. There was no teachings. There was no writings. It was really the way it worked back then was, I'm the dad. You guys are my sons. This is what God did for me. This is what God did for your grandpa. This is what God did for your great grandpa.
So it's a passed down.
Right.
type
And
thing?
so there's nothing established. And so when you're trying to establish things, what are the first things you do? Laws.
Semblance, yeah.
When you show up to school the first day, what is the first thing the teacher does? The teacher never, or hardly ever, well, I guess if you're in college it's different, but when you go to like grade school, the teacher never just shows up and says, all right, open your pages, chapter 1, let's begin. No, the first one is always, and even in college, here's the syllabus, let's go through it, let's read it, this is how I grade, this is what I expect out of you, these are your lessons. And if you're in grade school, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And in college too, if you miss more than 3 times, blah blah blah. And it's what God does. To establish structure, hey, these are the 10 things. Don't mess these up. Knowing, hey, people are gonna mess them up. But here are the 10 things which are supposed to keep you in check. You know? They're supposed to just and what God does is it's so great because He knows we're not going to keep it, so yet He offers us, hey, look, like you're going to mess up, but listen, when you do mess up, you get on that, and you do this, and you're good. And it's structure, and it's what you need when you're starting. So by the time Jesus comes, structure has gotten to the point where it controls everything. These dudes are giving 10% of the water they're drinking, 10% of the salt they're buying. They're getting crazy. And now Jesus comes, now let's liberate some of this stuff. You know, so I think the 10 Commandments were that. It's a mirror, but they needed to come because structure. In order for Israel and for them to become a nation, they needed structure. And so that's why you hear a lot when you get to David. David says to Solomon, follow the statutes of God. Follow the statutes of God. And he keeps going. Like, because when you know the rules, it keeps you in check. You know, when you're in a relationship with a girl, and you know what she likes, what she doesn't like, those kind of things keep you in check. And it's the same thing with a mirror.
So there was nothing wrong with the law, right?
No,
You know?
it's just people. There's nothing wrong with people.
Right. So since there was nothing wrong with the law, it was just to expose man's sin.
Right.
You know, and through that, you know, in order for us, you know, for them to be forgiven, they had to go through this whole thing of with the high priest, take a lamb, you know, and sacrifice. But you were saying that it only lasts for a while, you know, because obviously they're gonna fall back again. See, and then if we read all of chapter 8, but the thing is, you know, obviously when Jesus comes, all that is gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because He's the ultimate sacrifice. Because He's the ultimate, you know, one, the high priest. He's the one that will, you know, bring us closer to God. And I think it's Timothy chapter 2 says, because, you know, there is one God and one mediator between God and man, the man Christ Jesus.
Right.
You know, so God has built this bridge to reach man. See, but religion teaches us, hey, you know, this can take you to God. You know, in religion teaches you that you can gain your status with God.
Right.
But see, the Bible teaches otherwise and says, you got it all wrong.
Yeah.
Christ, God reached out to us. You know, so, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Because, but that's how we like it.
Right. Back to the same points and same
Yeah,
things
because
we're going to.
we like to know that we have achieved something. We like to know, man, I worked out and I lost weight. I've achieved something. We like to know that, and even there's Christians who do that. Who, I read my Bible and I feel great. I've accomplished something.
So they want to reach like this spiritual high.
Right. It's because look, and a lot of it is feeling. So notice, and I don't know if you guys have noticed. Maybe you guys are good people to ask, because you guys are like worship people. We're not worship.
Worship people?
Well, you know, you guys are in like worship team and stuff. One of the things I always hear people say, when you ask people, "Hey, was worship good?" People will judge whether worship was good or not based on what?
Sound.
Based on what?
Sound.
No. Wow, I'm surprised you guys. Maybe you guys don't ask.
Okay,
people
well,
that.
What?
I've never asked.
When you ask someone, have you ever asked someone how was worship?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
When they say, they judge whether it's good or bad based on what?
The songs that we're playing, no?
Well, maybe, but
I guess how people interact or something?
No.
How peop-
how they feel. People base
Oh,
worship.
they're crying. Okay.
Oh, I love that song. I always.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Makes sense.
when somebody doesn't like worship, or doesn't, someone comes out of worship and they'll say, "Yeah, I didn't get anything out of worship today." Have you ever heard people say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, well, who are you worshiping? Really, because that's the question.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything out of worship today. Well, who are you worshiping? It's like you go to a birthday party and it's like your birthday. Yeah, I didn't get anything out of that birthday party today. Well, whose birthday was it? Was it yours? No. Then what were you expecting to get out? I wasn't appreciated. I didn't feel it. And that's what people do with worship. Where it's, well, it doesn't matter what you get out of it. You're worshiping God. So if God allows you to feel whatever He allows you to feel, then hey, that's a plus. But if you don't feel anything, hey, you still have to, not that you have to, you still should raise your hands, you still should clap, you should still worship God, because it's ultimately for God. And if God lets you feel anything, then hey, that's awesome. But that's what religion does, and there's a lot of Christians who work on that. You read about, I just haven't felt anything in a while. How's your prayer life? I've been praying and I don't feel it. Okay. What? Have you gone to church? No, just lately. I don't know. I feel like I don't feel it, man. Feel what? But that's what religion does. Religion says, "Hey, come here and get an experience."
It's mostly, I would say, yeah, an experience, but it's become a custom. You know, it's become a custom. I mean, I've heard it. Oh, it was all right. And yeah, I've heard people say, "Oh, prayer wasn't. My prayer life is not so good." When I would ask people, "Hey, or people would ask me, or I would hear other people ask other people, they're like, "You know what? It's ups and downs. It's this and that." But that happens. I think that happens because, obviously the lack of commitment, the lack of, back to what you were saying is, Jesus telling you, follow me, deny yourself.
And also, it's thinking that we're ever gonna arrive. Like, I remember one time I went hiking, and it was 4 hours. So it was 4 hours. So we finally get to the top. We're laying down in the grass. It's late. It's in Azusa. It's a beautiful, like, just oversea. It was beautiful. And we're laying down, and one of the girls says, "How's your spiritual life?" To all of us. And one person, she answers her, she's like, "It's not as good. Blah blah blah. My relationship with God is not as good. My relationship with God is not as good." And then it was like, Okay. And then somebody else says, it could be better. I could do this. I could do that. And somebody else said, yeah, I still need work. It's not good. And as they were saying, I just kept thinking. And I mean, I had a good relationship with God. And these were people that I respected and I will still respect. And I love God, and they have a relationship with the Lord, so it's not like they were up and down or anything. These are giants, spiritual giants in my eyes, And I was like, man, what? Like, I can't say I'm good, And then, and then I thought, well, are we ever gonna be good? And I thought what Paul said, everyone has sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And I remember telling him, well, we're never gonna be good. Like, hey, how's your spiritual life going? It's always could be better, You could always pray more. You could always read more. You could always whatever more. And I think it's more, and that's again religion. What are you doing to get back? And that's not Christ. It's religion. And I remember that day. I always think of that day because it's always like, how was your spiritual life? What are you doing for And it's like, it's never gonna be good enough. And if we ask that question now, we could all say, yeah, it could be better. But couldn't it always be better? It could always be better, It's never a point where you're like, oh, I don't need any more spiritual growth.
It's true.
You always need more. And so even on your best day, you still need more. So I think religion kills, man. When religion has seeped and just made its way into Christianity, and it's not destroying it, but affecting it for sure. So, was that your 2 points?
I just have one question.
All right, cool.
You're mentioning about religion, it's poisoning and it's gotten into Christianity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, how then should it be?
What do you mean?
Yeah, like how then should Christianity be? How then should our lives be in following God? In not the religious way, but the way it's supposed to be.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised too.
I think the way it should be, it's freedom.
Right.
And I think the way it should be, I don't do this because I have to. I do this because I want to.
So, in other words, we are called servants, right?
Right.
And from what I remember is servants in Greek is doulos, meaning somebody that's willing offering their service.
Yeah.
So that's what you're referring to, right? You willingly want to do this.
Because I guess it's supposed to be this relationship.
Right.
Now think of it. If somebody comes up to you and says, or if I come up to you, not somebody. If I come up to you guys and I'm like, you know what, I'm dating this girl, blah blah, and I'm like, you know what, I have to go. Like, I have to hang out with her today. You just be like, what do you mean you have to hang out with her? Yeah, I have to. What? Like, you want to? No, I have to. It's part of it, I have to. You guys would be like, well, do you like her?
It's part of my contract.
Well, I have to like her. Well, what do you mean? Well, I just have to. I said, you want to be my girlfriend? She said, yes, so now I have to do these things. You guys would be like, wow, that's miserable.
Doesn't it have to be I want to?
Exactly. So in a relationship with God,
Same
it's not beating yourself up because you didn't get to read your scriptures today, and not thinking you're going to hell. It's not, I was praying and I fell asleep, Lord, I'm horrible. It's freedom. And it's, man, Lord, I'm praying because you're awesome, man. And Lord, I'm reading because honestly, like, this picks me up. And it's this relationship thing that there's ultimate freedom. Now, I don't want to get it twisted. I want people to think that I'm just like, hey, well, just do you, because obviously there are things, there are requirements, there are, things we should do, but ultimately it's about love. And Jesus says, return to your first love. He says that in Revelation. Now, that looks different, but to different people, but I think it ultimately is freedom. And so, when he says return to your first love, return to what you were doing in the beginning. And so maybe, and to us three, that looks differently. Maybe you were worshiping more freely, and maybe you were evangelizing more, and maybe I was reading my scriptures more. And we've left that because now we're ministering. And we're in the ministry, so Lord, I don't have time to just lose myself in evangelism. And I can't just evangelize to the world, Lord, because I'm busy now. And Lord, I can't just submit to your word anymore because I'm busy, Lord. I'm teaching all this time. And it's return. Because God cares more about our relationship with him than he does about our ministry. And that's what really, and when you think of it, when you think about that, it's, man, God cares more about me than about my ministry. He cares that I'm healthy spiritually than how many people I'm evangelizing to or how many people are listening to me teach. So I think the way it should look like freedom, grace. But you will never get to that place with in a relationship with God until you understand what grace is. And until you understand what grace is, you will never have a relationship with God that exudes liberty. It's always going to be you beating yourself up. Oh, I fell today. I'm not going to pray today because I fell today. I totally messed that up. So I'm going to wait a little. I'm going to wait till my guilt subsides a little bit. And that's not how it should be. So, yeah. Freedom. I guess freedom. I don't know. Read your Bible, understand grace, and you will be able to experience a free-flowing relationship with Jesus Christ. Don't beat yourself up over the things you do, because God doesn't.
Angel?
I'm good. That was good.
Alright, so my last one. Well, I guess my last one, I guess I'll just say it. If you guys have anything to say, we'll go.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into the brief things really quick. So my last point is kind of like yours. It's the whole covenant thing. So we have a new covenant. It's amazing and it's complete. And religion couldn't save us and can't save us. That's what Jesus came. And all that religion does is make people morally aware. And that's my point. That's my last point. And I have a quote, so I'll read the quote. It's my favorite author, Philip Yancey. This dude's amazing. And I I came across this quote from him in high school. And it was actually on my MySpace wall. And I couldn't find it, and I finally found it. And it says, the government can arrest and punish KKK murderers, but it cannot cure their hatred. Right, so here it goes again. It says, the government can punish KKK murderers, but it cannot cure their hatred, much less teach them how to love. It can pass laws making divorce more difficult, but it cannot show husbands and wives how to love each other. It can give welfare to the poor, but cannot show the rich how to shower them with mercy and compassion. It can ban adultery, but not lust, theft, but not covetousness, and it can encourage virtue, but cannot bestow holiness or character. Only God can do those things. And it's grace. And religion tells you, did do this, don't do that, this is bad, this isn't bad. And ultimately, it's grace. And if you have grace and you have God and you understand grace, you understand that only God can change a heart. Because religion will say, if you're a murderer and you're a terrorist, guess what? There's no hope for you. And if that's true, then Paul would have never had hope. But God says there's hope for everybody. And so that was my last point. You guys have nothing to add? No? Alright, so our two news stories. The first one is there was a shooting actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to talk about the soccer team.
Oh yeah, we are.
Say the best for last.
2 killed, 8 injured in Louisiana theater shooting.
Whoa.
So some dude shot up a theater in Louisiana. What do you guys think of all these shootings that are happening now?
Scary.
Scary?
It scares me actually.
Why?
It makes me double think it twice.
Do I really want to go here?
Exactly. Not only that, but it's scary because, you know, it can happen not just in theaters. You know,
Yeah, it can happen anywhere.
it can happen in a bus stop. It can happen in a shopping center, anywhere. So hearing about all these shootings has me aware. And there's times where I'm on my way to school, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like,
is he a shooter?
I actually look at people like, you know, does this person look suspicious or not? You know, but the thing is, it has me aware of my surroundings, and I'm like, okay, if this was to happen, what should I do? You know, so I plan this whole thing, and if the bus is alone, well, whatever. You know, but when there's a lot of people, when there's a lot of people or crowds of people, that's where my little sirens go on and like, hey, be careful. You know, not only that, but how about in a classroom? You know, you're in your classroom, you think it's your best friend, and bam, there it is. You know, so it scares me, and yeah, so like that.
Boom. On cue.
Someone died right now?
What about you, Angel?
I mean, it's crazy, but what can we say? Like, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens everywhere. It's like we could blame, it's a gun control.
Yeah.
But then we could blame, like, hey, you don't know this guy's personal life. He's probably been bullied his whole life.
Guns
That's
don't kill
he's
people.
probably a psycho or something. And it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know how long to say to this. It's coming a norm, pretty much. To the point it's like, oh wow,
that's
another
horrible.
shooting.
Yeah.
Another shooting. Wow.
Yeah. No,
I'm
that's right.
sad to say it, but
He's
it's
right.
true.
No,
I mean,
he's
how
right.
about-
That's how I feel right now. It's like, oh, wow, another shooting. All right.
How about these cops shooting other people?
Yeah, you know, like Angel said, I think it's. I remember like a couple of months ago, well, not even it was last year, I think, when all the crazy cop shootings were going around.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I thought after one was, there's so many, I don't know which ones you're talking about. When it was like, hey, did you hear about the cop shooting? Well, which one?
Yeah.
And now it's the same, like, oh, another theater got shot up. Oh, okay. And, oh, another school got shot up. Oh. And yeah, it sucks, but yeah, I think it,
It's sad. But
yeah, it speaks to the society we live in. It speaks of just how demented and how evil the heart of man is and how bad the heart of man is. That, and it speaks of what happens when you live in a society that like this, where it becomes the norm. You know, it becomes the norm to hear that. So, yeah. Any other thoughts on that? No? Okay. Well, now let's talk about some fun. Well, sort of. It's not so serious because it's sports. But the Mexico versus Panama game, which was crazy. Honestly, I've seen so many games. I've seen so many soccer games. I've seen a lot of just games in general. That was one of the craziest games I've ever seen. Just the things that I saw in that game were crazy. And yeah, so let's. And if you don't know what we're talking about, Mexico versus Panama Gold Cup semifinal, and Panama, I guess to a lot of people were the referee screwed them over. I thought this is what I thought. I'll go and then you guys can weigh in. I thought that the red card, the only red card that was given, just to the face. I thought it should have been a yellow. I thought it was like, but in real time, I guess you can see how that can come off as a, because I think that's something that everybody that's criticizing, you gotta remember, these guys are seeing this real time. They're not. It's not like they have like, oh, their eyes are making everything slow motion. So in real time, that just looks like this is leading in with his elbow to the face. I mean, he hits him in the face, but it's like with the hand. It should have been a yellow, but in real time, maybe you can see it. But really, if that's gonna be, if the first one, first of all, the first yellow to Carlos Vela 4 minutes in, that's not a yellow. Come on. But if that's gonna be a yellow, then that crazy flying slap to the face, and maybe that's a red. But again, I think that's the problem with soccer. Really, is all the acting. Like you saw the replay of the elbow that Carlos Vela when he hit the guy from Panama. It was like the dude's acting like he just got hit with a sledgehammer in the diaphragm. Like, chill out, man. Like, seriously.
Not only that, I was also watching. It was second what is it? Second half.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know who it was, but one of the Mexico guys had the ball, and then took the ball, and he just threw himself. They didn't even touch him.
Right.
They just took the ball away from him, and he just threw himself.
Yeah, because the Panama guy was like, because the ball was outside the line, it was already out of bounds. And then the Mexican guy wanted to play, and the Panama guy's like, tap him in the chest. Like, come on, dude, really, that was out.
Yeah, you see, and I think that's a bigger problem with soccer. But so the first one, I think should have been a yellow, if anything. But he's seeing it real time. What do you think, Angel?
All right, bottom line, this is what I think. Let's say
of that. Don't get ahead to the big one.
I'll wait.
Oh, what do you think of that? What do you think of that?
I think.
No, the red card, the first red card.
The red card.
I only started seeing the second half.
I mean, you can see it's kind of intentional in a way, but not for red.
Sure. Right, but you're seeing it real time. It can.
Yeah. I guess probably from the referee's angle as well.
Right.
Because he kind of did have like a
fist. He had a closed fist. Yeah.
So it looks like he probably did uppercut him.
Yeah.
But.
So here we go. So what we get now is it's the 90th minute. So this whole time I root for Mexico. Okay, so obviously what you're gonna hear is me speaking from the heart. And then the U.S. was what an embarrassing. We're not going to talk about that. I was so upset.
Actually, I heard something about that.
So upset. What'd you hear? We'll let you do your thing.
I heard that because USA lost against who was playing?
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Mexico had no.
Mexico had no.
But that's stupid.
Because what I read on Facebook actually was, really who was gonna watch Jamaica and Panama play?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so they wanted at least Mexico in there.
Exactly.
Because then, that was my main point. Because then the Mexico versus USA
I
for
don't
third
think
place is
so.
gonna have more views at the final.
Look, this is all right. So then, since the 90th minute, I'm upset. The U.S. just was embarrassed, so I was upset already. And I was like, all right, Mexico will figure it out, and at least one of the teams will make it to the final. They played horrible. Like, no plan. I think Miguel Herrera, the coach, should be fired. Just fired. No plan. Just hoping that Panama would open up by themselves. Just no tactic. And in the 90th minute, just the craziest things. They go in there and they're finally in the box and they're about to do something, kind of, sort of. And the ball comes, the Mexican guy has it. The guy from the captain from Panama, the defenseman, slides into him or something like that. The ball goes back. The guy from Panama dives, throws himself back, and he lands on the ball with his
arm.
With his rib cage.
No, it was not his rib cage. It was his arm.
It was right here.
Oh.
And in soccer, that's part of the hand.
Yeah. Especially when it's in the body.
And then all hell broke loose. Was it a penalty, Angel? Yes or
For
no?
me, yes. It was a penalty.
Wow.
They even took pictures of it. They stopped the camera and took a picture, and the ball is literally right there in his arm.
Yeah.
He probably tried to make it look like an accident. Oh, I fell on the ball. That's a penalty.
Yeah.
Still, it doesn't matter. It's a penalty.
I agree. I think, I hear people say stuff like, I hear people say things like, oh, well, it was accidental, and it was...
Don't matter.
The rules are the rules, man. The rules are the rules. You land on the ball, and you're going to throw yourself, and you're going to land... Look, it is what it is. It's a penalty. You can get crazy, and you can... But that was... It is what... I was texting with one of my friends, and he was telling me, oh... It was accidental, and it was. I'm like, what? It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But if it was Mexico, they were like, go for it.
Right? Well, everybody would have laughed, really. That's what happens when Holanda robbed us. But that's my point. It's accidental. You touched it with your hand or part of the hand, and you were in the box. Those are the rules. Rules are rules, and it is what it is, and that's it. And so, obviously, there's people who would disagree, but whatever. And then, so then the game stops for 10 minutes, because these dudes are
arguing?
Yeah, it got really crazy. And then, so that we go to extra time, and in extra time, all of a sudden, another penalty. And that one was clear. I think they were both clear, but that one, you couldn't even, what were you going to say? And then Mexico, again, scores it. By then, it's over. And the referee gets attacked or chased out.
Coach, Panama.
What do you mean attack? I didn't see that part.
Huh?
What do you mean attack?
Alright, well, not attack,
Rushed
but
after
just,
him.
yeah.
They
They
were
rushed
Fist
after
fight
him.
or?
No,
No,
they literally
no.
ran.
They were
towards him.
about to, but
They were
the
just
securities.
screaming.
Yeah, so it was a crazy game. Honestly, I don't think the referee was as bad as everybody thinks. I just think this is my theory. I think, well, not my theory, but this is what I think. People hate Mexico. If you don't root for Mexico, you hate them. It's just the way it is. And people hate Mexico, and Mexico played horrible. They didn't. I guess you want to say they didn't deserve to win. That's fair. And so when Mexico gets a call like that, it can seem, oh, they want that. This is what they want. But think about how crazy that is. You think the referee knows oh, there's gonna be this time where the Panama guy is gonna fall back and land on the ball, and that's what I'm gonna call the penalty. I just think that's crazy. I honestly I think people hate Mexico. They hate their fans. Maybe that's what it is. They hate the people that like Mexico more than they hate Mexico themselves. And Mexico played horrible, but Panama played actually a really good game. And Mexico should have lost, and people were upset. And I think honestly that's where the root of everything happens, because Mexico has had some atrocities happen to them. And you know when people say, typical Mexico, they lose. And I can just point to them. World Cup 2010, Argentina. Messi was like a mile ahead offsides. No offsides called. And that just threw everything away.
And 06 also.
And in 06 also.
The last goal.
In 2014, this last year, that fake penalty. And what do people do? It's funny. You guys can't do anything. But it happens to somebody else, and Mexico just happens to be the mix. Obviously, then we're.
I mean, whether Mexico.
Then we're
wins,
selling it, and then.
Whether Mexico wins or loses, there's always something wrong.
Oh, of course.
You know, and if Mexico wins by fair game, everything's called right.
Oh, they were supposed to. Cuba, when they beat Cuba 6-0, you know what people were saying? Well, they were supposed to, and Cuba was missing these guys. But when the U.S. beat Cuba, like, what was it, like 4-0, 5-0?
6-1.
6-1? Oh, the U.S. did amazing job. And the U.S. Man, shut up. Shut up. But it's what it comes down to. Like, the U.S. lost to Jamaica, and I think I was the only one putting, like, how horrible they were and how embarrassing. I had some guy comment, really, why is it embarrassing? Jamaica played great.
No, man, the goalie they had? He was still catching the ball. He was sitting there with the chest.
Yeah. So I think it's a hatred for Mexico, honestly, and Look, if Mexico would have lost to Jamaica the same way that, like, say you swap them and Mexico loses to Jamaica, oh, it's over, dude. Over.
What is gonna happen on Sunday?
That's where we can go. So you're predicting Mexico loses?
Yeah.
Why?
So, Negritos never win anything. It's their chance. She just let them. Nah, I think. Alright, because.
Really? You think they're going to win?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Mexico has a good team, right? I really think they have a good team.
But they haven't played well.
But they haven't played well. Jamaica, they've been playing good, and they have stamina. Those fools are quick. Mexico is quick too, but those guys can run.
They're longer, yeah.
So, let's not be tough, but I think Jamaica's gonna win.
This is why I just watch the Spurs.
I
don't get into them like you guys do.
I think Mexico is winning.
No.
And I think Mexico's going to play well. Because I think...
The ref is going to win.
Shut up. But no. I think Mexico, the players have heard too much now. You guys can do without the you guys can do without the ref. Yes. I think Mexico's gonna dominate.
Not Mexico. Sunday. He's saying the CONCACAF is gonna win,
right? Who? I think Mexico's winning. I think
CONCACAF is
it's the region, the region that's holding the cup.
Oh. Okay.
But I think Mexico's winning. I think Mexico's gonna put on a good performance and win. And hopefully Miguel Herrera gets fired. I'm leading the charge for him to lose his job. He's horrible.
Who's that? The coach?
He's the coach. Yeah.
Is that Piojo?
Yeah, Piojo. And Piojo needs to be taken out because he's a Piojo, and he needs to be exonerated of his jobs. So, those are the 2 points. Go Mexico. Hopefully.
Jamaica.
And Jamaica. We should like bet something.
Oh my
bro.
god.
But maybe we shouldn't. And so, let's. I think that's it. Anything else to add?
Nope.
No?
Um,
Cool.
Nah,
Well, say it. Say it.
no.
Say it.
What has something to do with it?
Escúpelo.
What's what Man U keep trying to take all my team?
Mueller is coming to Manchester United.
No,
Woo!
Nah, they said they can afford him. This is priceless.
No, they made a big offer. We're
Wait.
coming after Bayern Munich.
100
And then we're going to
million.
take Pep. We're taking everybody.
Everyone.
Wait, they took Mueller?
No, they want.
We're
to
about
offer
to.
it.
We're about to.
100 million?
I wouldn't say no to that.
That's it.
Dang. They're taking
Manchester United is coming back.
They are. Actually are.
Was he?
And Real Madrid is dying.
What's
Huh?
going on with Real Madrid? I thought they were your all top favorite team.
No, they are. I'm not saying I'm betraying them. I'm just saying things don't look good.
They don't. Come on, they got Casillas?
I heard you guys talking about this last time.
Ah.
Alright, guys. So,
Alright,
anything
yeah,
else
I understand
before?
No, that'll be all. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.
Again, you can ask us questions. You can email us. All the info will be there. We're
In
gonna
the description,
yeah, and we'll even add Angel stuff if you wanna.
if Angel gives us permission.
If you we'll
Sir.
schedule it.
Alright, you guys heard it. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this episode of Decoding the Bible with German, Angel, and David, feel free to subscribe and share.
Yeah.
So thank you, and we are out.
Thank you. God bless you.
Adios.